Look at that. We are live on the Side Quest, live on a very wonderful, warm-ish
Warmish,
uh,
yeah.
March night, Friday night here. Hey, we're 2 days away from spring, so that's a good sign. Finally, I am one of the hosts of this podcast, Dolly Domofsky, the person to the left of me. Right. Well,
Another host,
whatever. Another
Taylor
host,
Bliss.
Taylor. Thunder and Taylor Bliss. I don't know, I'll come up with a good one. Tubular Taylor Bliss. How's it going, Taylor?
Pretty good. Another week down.
I like that. Another week down. Another week
Yeah.
down. That's good. That's good.
Four more until PAX, right?
Yes. And unfortunately, they still haven't freaking put the
Exhibition
schedule
list
up.
on. I
The
know.
exhibition list is just to let everybody know. We are going to be at PAX. We have 2 panels that we're going to be on it. Oh wait, the schedule's up. The
Did it really just
schedule
post?
is up here. I'm gonna let me share this. It literally just posted. You are seeing magic happen. Schedule. Here it is. Ready? Bam! Look at that schedule.
Oh, what's our competition?
Let's see here. We are. I think we are Friday. Let's move to Friday here. Friday, April 22. A 7 is better than a 10 when mediocre games attack.
Okay,
That's
Bobcat
us.
Theater. I remember
Bobcat
that.
Theater. Have you ever played a game that isn't perfect? It's filled with annoying bugs, doesn't achieve absolute narrative heights, but still somehow love it? We do. It's like any game that's a 7.2 review score is actually a perfect 10. So join us for that one. That's gonna be fun. Bobcat Theater, 12:30 to 1:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 to 10:30 Pacific. So y'all on the West Coast have to stay awake. And then later that day, we have, where is it? Somewhere.
Cosplay 101. No, I'm just kidding.
Cosplay 101.
Oh my god, imagine Cosplay 101 hosted by the SideQuest and crew.
Wordle Royale. Here it is. Why did I skip right past it? Okay. Friday,
4:30.
April 4:30 at the Condor Theater right down the road there. We're going to be doing a Wordle Royale. It's JJ Taylor and I. Dan Hevia may or may not make it, but if he doesn't make it, then we're going to have a fill-in. Tom Johnson's going to be our fill-in for that one. So we're going to have actually anybody who wants to be on this can be on this because it's going to be pretty insane. So yeah, there we go. Those are our 2 panels. Wordle freaking Royale.
Yeah, it's a we're talking about video games oriented, Wordle battle royale style. That's what we're planning on, right, Dolly?
Yes. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna kind of start off with just some tips on how to play Wordle, but mostly we're gonna get into like an actual Wordle Royale, which I think is gonna be a lot of fun. And with the Word Master, I guess I don't know what Wordle Lord. We'll figure it out. JJ.
I think Word Master might just be what we go with there.
Maybe just Word Master. I like that. Grammatical ninja. But so expect that Word Royale. So we get those are our two shows there. Let's see. Is the Expo Hall? Do we have the? It doesn't have the Expo Hall there yet. Oh well. Hopefully they'll get the rest of the stuff listed on who's going to be there and all that. But yeah, nothing yet. Okay. List of exhibitors soon. Anyways, there you go. Schedule. There's some good stuff. I'll have to peruse it because I love to see the. As much as I love the games, I love to see the go to cool panels and stuff and see a lot of good conversation. It's always
this is my first time being on the panel, so I'm excited.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, you're gonna do great.
I'm sure. Yeah, I always thrive under pressure. So,
well, we have a good show for you today. It's just the 2 of us, which means it'll be shorter. Thank God. Wait, no, Taylor's on there. Never mind.
Yeah, no. I
throw that out the window. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna. All that means is that I have more time to say everything that I want to about all the topics that come up.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of topics, we do have a few, which is what I'm trying to find right now. A few of the topics, and feel free to hop in if I miss something. But let me start with this one. All right, get ready. This
Please.
is the big one, the one we've all been talking about. I'm going to share the screen here because it's just hot off the press. Well, not off the presses, hot off the something we kind of expected, but maybe not fully, but who knows? EA has canceled EA Play
Yeah.
Live for 2022. This is the, they always did this sort of E3 adjacent showcase for the last 5, 6, 7 years, maybe, because
It's been
they
a while.
disappeared off of the main E3 show floor, and then just kind of started doing their own thing
I
around
think
more.
I feel slightly targeted, especially considering that I think it was just last week that we were talking about, it does not matter what happens with E3 because, the big players are going to still have their stuff in
Mhm.
July. So the way that I read into this is that EA really had that little to show that they were going to say E3 is not happening. It's our chance to bow out gracefully
Yeah.
and not have to worry about the fact that we really didn't have that much to show. We just saw the Dead Space stuff, what, 8 days ago, 10 days
Yeah.
ago, or something like that.
Yeah.
What that means to me is that there wasn't much else other than that to talk about. If they had 30 minutes of stuff to show, they'd put a 30-minute presentation on. I can't think of how else to really interpret that, in my opinion.
No, I completely agree with you, and I think so. They gave the message to our friends over at IGN, basically saying, we love EA Play Live. I'm reading right here. We love EA Play Live. It's our way of connecting with our players. We have exciting things happening at studios this year. We'll reveal much more of these when the time is right for each of them. In other words, we don't have any. We may not have enough product coming out this year to showcase all in one bunch. I mean, Dead Space. We just talked about it's going to be early
Yeah, like I said,
2023.
yeah.
And so that's why they kind of got that out of the way, and they're going to keep. And what are you going to do? A sports showcase where you see Madden, FIFA, and NHL again?
And let's say hypothetically they kept Dead Space hidden, right, until this showcase. And a Dead Space remake is not enough to headline entire E3 style, summer showcase. It's not enough. So,
agreed.
They probably didn't have anything big enough to do it. So,
exactly.
God. Imagine, listen, man, I would love to think that Skate 4 is a thing that still exists, if only.
Yes, definitely.
But trust me, let's put it this way: if Skate 4 was in the pipeline in a state where they could present it this summer, they would have an EA Play happening this summer. But that's not the case.
No, but it's it's a bummer. But I mean, it's totally understandable. It's a weird transition time right now for gaming. We're Xbox, from everything we've heard from other sources, they're still planning some type of showcase, which we kind of figured. They do have a lot of games coming this year, a lot more. Sony obviously has a bunch of stuff coming the second half of the year. They're, if they can get Gran Turismo running, then maybe we'll have something this first half. But
we're gonna see something from the big three, no matter what. Yep. Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft are all gonna put a showcase out.
And we may see those now. Maybe it's not June anymore. Maybe it's like sometime end of May throughout June, instead of the typical E3 week. But you're gonna still have Square Enix is still gonna show off something, right? They've got a bunch of stuff coming this year. They have they
have to stall Forspoken hype out in some way.
So, but yeah, there'll still be stuff. I know you got Summer Game Fest, right? So you may have something for EA at Summer Game Fest. So, and it's kind of a bummer, but what did they have last year? Battlefield, and that was kind of it, I guess.
I mean, if let's think about it this way, Battlefield 2042 was their main showcase from last year. Look how that released.
Look how that maybe it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Hold on, it's all
I would also recoil and be like, yeah, you know what, D3 is not happening, and then we'll just take the break. That's okay.
yeah, yep. There was an Xbox Indie showcase, ID at Xbox showcase this week, which was pretty cool. A lot of cool projects. I'm going to touch on this one right now because I just started playing it. Tunic just surprise
Oh,
launched the other day,
I'm
and
gonna be talking about this one during the next segment, but
I bet we will.
Tunic.
Bet we will. But this was one of the many. I mean, this game has been kind of in the works for a long time.
Yeah,
I think in
I don't want to call
2017.
it. I don't want to call it development hell specifically. A, because I don't know the specifics about it. I haven't talked to anybody. Like, I don't have any, inside knowledge on it. But it has taken a very long time to get here,
Yeah,
in the neighborhood of 8 years, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly. But yeah, I mean, Tunic is is an easy headliner as far as idea at Xbox was concerned for this week. It is the standout from the showcase by far.
there were a couple others. So I'm going to
Yeah,
switch over
please.
right now to another friend of ours, our good friends at Game Informer. First of all, shout out to our friend, wonderful friend Andrea Renee for hosting the ID at Xbox over on Twitch. That was really cool. Bunch of stuff that came out of it. I mean, I love the indie directs that Nintendo puts out. I love the indie stuff that Microsoft does. I think this was probably their strongest one because of that Tunic surprise launch. But
Yeah,
I love it because indie devs, to me, the line is sort of blurred now when it
yeah.
comes to
I mean,
indie and triple A and quadruple A, whatever that means now. It's just games are games. Any game you
yeah.
play is just great.
It's not 12 years ago anymore.
Yeah.
20, summer of 2010, when it was the Xbox summer arcade, when Castle
Right.
Crashers
Remember
released,
those?
and
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So, it's it's we're in the days where indie is everything of Outer Wilds. It's Tunic.
Hmm.
It's studios of 20, studios of almost 100 still count as
Yeah.
indies, and with the same people that teams of one creating
Completely
games. So
agree. So this is just I'm just using Game Informer because really nice rundown of some of the stuff that showed up. Immortality. I know a lot of folks, and myself included, like Her Story. Sam Barlow has put out
yeah,
this new game, which is sort of a weird. It's
three
described as
three part,
yeah,
right?
it's a 3-part, and you're kind of playing or exploring footage from these lost movies to try to find out what happened to Marissa Marcel. There we go. Cool idea. Great info there. Flintlock. I never played. There was a Flintlock before, right? Was there like an original Flintlock?
I actually don't know. That's one of
No.
the ones that's past my
Oh, I was
past my
thinking Flint
expertise.
Hook. I'm sorry. I was thinking Flint
Yeah,
Hook.
Flint Hook
Okay.
was a roguelike 2D pixel art, which was pretty
That's
sick.
right. Yeah, that was pretty sick. Curse to Golf. That's one we've been keeping an eye on. JJ even had a chance to play it at PAX West. Hey, guess what? It's going to be at PAX East.
Yeah, oh,
So,
is it?
yeah.
I'm
So
excited.
we're
I'm
going to get
excited to get my hands on it, and I was
yeah.
also excited to learn that it was going to be a Game Pass game. So
Yes, it's Game Pass, which is fantastic. Escape Academy. I am 8-bit. That's their first game that they're publishing. So I am 8-bit. Remember, they were kind of this kind of cool little art-based art and music gaming, not company, but they kind of helped showcase the incredible talents around games. Well, this is their first actual publishing project. They're working with Skybound and Coin Crew. It's a school where promising students train to become the ultimate escape room master. And it did look kind of cool. It's basically like you're playing through a bunch of escape rooms in a weird way. So it's kind of an idea. Whale Fall. I didn't see much of this, but it's that JRPG style, which really kind of felt a little like had a little bit of the Chrono Trigger ish feel to it, just from what they explained. So kind of cool there. And then this is the one that JJ
yeah,
lost his stuff over
too
Wrestle
bad.
Quest.
Too bad JJ's not here to talk about his
Yeah,
his pure excitement for WrestleQuest.
Yes. So yeah, I like golf story, sports stories coming out. All these WrestleQuest. Why not? So I think it's a cool idea. Mega Cat and Skybound was all over this. Yeah, fantasy RPG and pro wrestling, and it even has like some sort of well-known, apparently, pro wrestlers in there.
Listen, it worked. It worked for dodgeball
did
last summer.
exactly.
Why not for
Dodgeball,
wrestling?
yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So the Macho Man, Andre. I mean, rest in peace to both those guys. But yeah, it's a cool idea, awesome idea. And then Game Pass, like we said, Tunic is coming to Game Pass today. Crusader Kings
yesterday, I think.
Yeah, was it yesterday? Well, yeah, it's available now. I should say available.
It is now available.
And then you have Crusader Kings. I never played any of the Crusader Kings games, but I get into it, I guess.
Yeah, you're not going to find my expertise here.
Yeah, Trek to Yomi. This
Trek to Yomi is going to be a big one. That one's going to probably do some news running.
Kurosawa style. Yeah, man, count me in. And then they had like a bunch of montages and stuff. Paradise Killer, which is available now. I think that's an awesome game. If you haven't played it, definitely check it out. It's on Switch. That's kind of the first place it showed up, and now it's on PC and console. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. So yeah, tons of stuff. More that I can even kind of go through, but really cool ID at Xbox. And I'm trying to think of Playland, you made it. And I'm trying to think of see what else we had here. Oh yeah. Yesterday, was it? Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. Taylor's absolute favorite. I'm gonna click. Let me click the video please. instead of the link here. I'm just gonna open this sucker up. Click that instead of the article that I had up. I'm gonna post the video of Taylor's absolute favorite IP, the one that he grew up on, reading those books, reading those J.K. Rowling books, Hogwarts Legacy. State.
Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, you go. Hogwarts is this is announced in September of 2020. I thought it was announced like 5 years ago, but apparently I was wrong. It just seems like that long because we haven't really heard anything from it. But
was it not?
It wasn't. It was last year.
Are you sure?
September of 2020. I thought it was a lot earlier than that, but nope. September 20 at the Sony showcase. I think they had.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not. This is the first time I'm watching this trailer. I did not watch it.
It's a I mean, I didn't. I caught it several hours after it debuted. I was on the road at the time, so I didn't get a chance to watch it. But they're calling it an open world action RPG. I'm
gonna take open. I'm gonna take open in quotation marks, man.
After Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild, before that, and Elder Scrolls, there's no such thing as an open world game that comes anywhere near those. I mean, none of the Assassin's Creed games are really open world. It's just dots on a map. But anyways, yeah, supposedly open world, whatever that means. But it's I mean, yeah, it takes place 100 years before the events of Harry Potter, and you're a new recruit who's jumping into the 5th year of Hogwarts, and you get sorted into a house, and you've got to find out where this ancient magic that only supposedly you can feel or you're in tune with is coming from, and someone's trying to take down Hogwarts. So there's classes you can take. There's you can fly around on a broomstick, which is kind of cool. Sure, why not? You can get a really cool diverse cast, which J.K. Rowling hates. And it's she's gonna cancel me, isn't she? I
don't think you have to worry about that, Ellie. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you.
Visually, it looks. I mean, the sets are really cool. I don't know how much of an open world it can be when it's inside a building, inside a castle. Like how open world is that? But I mean, maybe open world is.
Yeah, man. I gotta tell you, like, if I'm debuting an open world game, and it's the X weeks after Elden Ring launches, I'm fucking recoiling. Oh,
everyone's using open world just for what? Yeah. They're just saying, you know what, this racing game, Gran Turismo, is open world. All right, sure it is, bud.
You have a certain amount of freedom, which is more freedom than other games in the genre offer, and that's what open world means. I mean,
Agreed.
like, yeah, I guess, but also not quite.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know what to think. I don't know how it's gonna do, only because it's kind of the most action oriented version of Harry Potter. It's an adult, this is gonna be aimed at adults, people our generation, I should say, like 20s and up, the folks that grew up with Harry Potter in the aughts or the noughts, whatever it is.
Sure.
Uh, because it's definitely much more mature from a design and style standpoint, than
Right.
something
I mean,
somebody
this
who's
looks
like
a
a
little bit
12-year-old.
darker,
It's a little darker.
little grittier.
Yep.
You think about the PS2 or the PS1, or was there PS1 Harry Potter? No,
I'm sure
PS2 and
there
onwards.
probably was. There probably was some.
They didn't say, let's think about the generation that's just reading Harry Potter and catching it now. It's okay. Who's the people that played the PS2 Harry Potter games, and we're going to cater to that generation even now,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
12 years, 20 years later. So,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But I mean, cool. I mean, you're gonna have, because it takes place 100 years before. You're not gonna see Harry. You're not gonna see Hagrid probably, but you're gonna see a nearly headless net. Whatever. Like,
yeah,
you're gonna see a
I
few
believe that
folks.
was nearly headless Nick, I believe is the one you're looking
Yes,
for
there
there.
you go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's gonna be cool. So I mean, I with all the controversy behind the creator J.K. Rowling, kids love this, love the books. It gave them something to let their imaginations run wild, and it built up this huge following, and people are happy when they generally when they're into Harry Potter stuff. But I mean, I recently watched the movies all the way through, and to be honest, they're not great. But it's not designed for somebody who's 43 years old. So I understand that. Totally
I've
fine. I'm okay
actually,
with understanding that.
I mean, I'm clearly not the target audience because I've never watched any of them, so I don't
There
know
you
what to
go.
tell you.
But hey, that's coming out this year. There you go. Yes, yeah. I know nearly headless Nick. Yeah, I don't know why I kept saying Ned, but so yeah. Hey, that's coming out this year. Supposedly, they said holiday. They didn't give a firm date. They're probably there. So
What do you? Are
here's
there?
why
Are
I
you? What
think
do?
they said holiday. All right, ready?
Yeah, go
I
for it.
think they say holiday because I'm still convinced that Mortal Kombat 12 is coming out this year. They haven't put a date on it. It's probably October because it's October. It's the bloody month type of thing. It's Halloween horror, and so I think that's going to be their Halloween-ish game, October game, and I wouldn't be surprised if this launches uh, sometime towards the end of November or beginning of December. I could definitely see this as sort of like beginning of December type
I
of
can
thing.
definitely see this December game for sure.
Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, Mortal Kombat 11 was 3 years ago. I mean, it was
yeah.
April of 2019, so about the right time for the next Mortal Kombat game to come out.
And while nothing's been officially announced, I will just say that we have. If you hop into the side questing Discord, you may come across some people who live and work in Chicago and happen to bump into staff from NetherRealm Studios who like to get drunk and spill the beans about whatever project they're working on. So the side questing Discord is always a good place to be. But yeah, hey, whatever. Harry Potter looks interesting. Surprisingly, it's coming to Switch as well. That was kind of buried on the website, and
Yeah,
that
I was
is
gonna
so
wait until we
weird
got
to
to the
me.
end before, but like you look at all of this footage and you're like,
Yeah,
I mean, when are we gonna announce the part that it's streaming only, or
yeah.
like
It's not.
where's the
Not even
caveat
streaming only. It's
portion,
it's a
right?
boxed game that's going to be sold at Amazon and Best Buy. It's wild. So hey, whatever. I don't know what kind of wizardry they're going to use to get this on Switch. See, thank you very much. Thank you. But yeah, whatever. We'll see. The only reason I bring it up is that look at the game. I don't know how they're going to get that onto.
I mean, here's the only thing about
I
it.
don't know
Like,
what kind
if
of
you,
concession they're going to make.
I'm gonna be completely honest about it. If the game that's supposed to run like this is gonna go on Switch, it's gonna just look like dog shit, dude.
Oh, it's going to look.
It's
Like
just
butt.
gonna look
It will. It
real
will.
bad.
It's going to look.
I mean, unless they got the dudes who did the Doom ports to go on here to like literally min max
Maybe, yeah.
every single portion of every part of the game. Like that's the only way that you get anything that looks even close to good. But this thing is going to run at 30 FPS and it's going to look bad.
Oh yeah.
Unless I'm wrong. I mean, I could always be wrong. I just don't think so. Yeah.
Well, there we go. Airy Pull is coming to your.
Oh, good
console.
cards.
I think that's it. I think that's it for news. Did you have any other news things you want to drop?
There. I mean, drop. No. I mean, this is other stuff that other people.
News? Yeah.
I'm definitely not breaking any news. What was the other stuff that happened? The Gran Turismo 7 outage, I think, is noteworthy. Dudes make Gran Turismo 7, make a almost exclusively single player game, and then are like, okay, yeah, but what happens if server side stuff goes down and the game is just unplayable?
Oh god,
it's a real bad look at the whole thing, man. You know, it wasn't 6 years ago that Sony was talking smack about
Everyone's retweeting that tweet.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's retweeting the Sony tweet about don't worry about discs because guess what? You don't have to check in online. Our games just work. Unless it's Gran Turismo 7, in which case, listen, sorry, you had to check into servers so that you could do your microtransactions, and you can't play the game otherwise. Shit just sucks, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an Elden Ring update. That's whatever. There's some balance stuff.
Yeah.
They nerfed a bunch of stuff.
It's balanced.
No, yeah. I mean, they nerfed. It was mostly nerfs though in that balance. One thing I thought that was really curious about it though, and so I mean, I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring as we've talked about in the other shows. I've been trying to do a lot of the story quests for. There's a lot of NPCs in Elden Ring.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
And I've been trying to do story quests as have been available, and there's been a couple characters that have been notably would appear to be uncompletable stories. And in the patch notes for this today's patch was like, all right, we added in these people's continuation of their story quests. Dog has been out for like almost 2 weeks. Like people have already completed the game and are on New Game Plus or New Game 2 Plus. Whatever. And we just added the complete, like, for me, it's entirely possible that I'm too far through the story to be able to complete, like, talk to those NPCs just like fucking die all the time. Like you complete one story element and you go back and that person's like they don't exist anymore or they're dead. That was just especially weird with how complete the launch of the game felt in almost all other respects. It was just an oddity that I found about, especially with just how good the rest of the game felt on launch. I was trying to think. There was one other thing that came out that I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what it was.
Sure, it'll pop in along the way. Sure. But I mean, yeah, there were some delays this week.
There's always delays.
There's always guess what, guys? There's gonna be plenty of delays. There was the Moon Studio stuff. There's Annapurna stuff. There's a lot. Hey, guess what? There are still rotten people out there, unfortunately, and I really do hope that we can, we get that culture gets, unfortunately, has to get exposed. I hate saying it that way. That's so wrong word to say. I hope that it comes to light that these things are happening, and then that gets corrected, and we get safer workplaces, and people feel like they're valued. I think the most important part is you want to feel valued at whatever job or career you're at, whether you're in person there or you're remote. So yeah, hey studios, do better. Hey people, do better. If you think
the last thing I want to talk about was just a brief foray into numbers talk.
Oh yeah, sure.
12 million for Elden Ring.
Yeah.
on its first week, or is that what we have numbers on? Or at least that's what came from FromSoft as far as what they revealed the sales numbers were. And then we had numbers for Triangle Strategy, 800K worldwide, Switch only, right?
Yeah. Elden Ring was 18 days, by the way. 12 million over 18
18 days. Okay, thank you.
It's still, it doesn't 1 week. It's still under a month,
Yeah.
which is unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about under 30 days, 12 million. It took Dark Souls, I believe the comparison was Dark Souls 3. It took 4 years to hit 10 million or something along those lines.
Yeah.
It's something that, I mean, FromSoft said that they expected to. They didn't. They expected multiple years to hit this sales mark number. So,
if at all, if they were going to get to that.
Yeah, if they were going to hit it at all. So, easiest marketing campaign of all time, where they were hyped, just took it away.
I think. So I mentioned it last week a little bit on the show, but I wanted to bring it up again. There's this amazing like social moment, right? It happened with Animal Crossing a couple years ago, where the discourse, whether you like it or don't, everybody was talking about the same game. And it was right when there were other big games. Was Doom Eternal came out the same day as Animal Crossing New Horizons, right? And nobody was really talking about Doom Eternal. Everybody was talking about Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Elden Ring's the same way right now. And they both both these games landed at a point in time where people were looking for a very distinct type of escape or conversation or whatever. Obviously, Animal Crossing, a lot of us are still in lockdown, or really we're just getting into lockdown, so we were kind of stuck. We couldn't go anywhere, so why not go to an island and everybody could talk happy, cheery things. And right now, with Elden Ring, obviously there's atrocities going on. There's a war going on right now, and we want to, one of the big pitches of Elden Ring is death and rebirth. Like, no matter how bad things are out there, you can come back. You can come back to it, and you can be better, and you can learn from things, and you kind of find some joy in loss by this giant, big open world, this massive open world, one of the biggest in all of gaming ever. And yet it's small enough where we're all connected. We're all finding things to it. And I think that discourse around it and kind of the way things have been happening in just world events right now, lined up so perfectly that, that day one, Elden Ring sales, I believe that the discourse around Elden Ring and everybody posting video clips of just the crazy stuff that's happening, part of me wonders if sales actually didn't weirdly accelerate, or at least not drop off like they normally would with other big games, like other
just because of continuous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of us were talking about it. We were posting pictures. We were giving each other tips online, and I think it was just a perfect. I hate to say perfect time. It landed at a time when people kind of needed some sort of social interaction. So great for them. Is it going to be, I bring it up every time there's a new Monster Hunter, every time there's a new Souls game. Is it going to be the one that gets you into Souls? Maybe not, but it's the right game right now. And I really think people could really enjoy it. And I think, they may find something in there. And they announced, they just realized, hey, this isn't going to be a one-off. Let's get this. This is going to be an IP that we can. Really
I was going to say, not only is it not a one-off, but it's not a video game only IP that we're talking about. Yeah, I mean,
good for them.
Not that I want to turn this into an Elden Ring cast again, but compared to the Dark Souls games, compared to Bloodborne games, there is just more happening in the game from a story side, like that pulls the player in, that you actually care about. I think that those side stories and side characters are more interesting than the other games that they made, and it shows. There's payoffs there. So That's what we're seeing.
Good for them. I love to see brand new IPs that are awesome and that are going to have legs on them. We're starved for new IPs right now because we just get we're just getting Assassin's Creed over and over again. We're getting Call of Duty over and over again. We're getting the same Madden over, Animal Crossing over and over. When's the next Zelda coming out? It's like, here's something brand new, and it's so refreshing that it's, even though it's a Souls like, I hate it, it is weirdly, there are the tiniest little thematic and some links for other Souls games, but it's a new IP that I think we kind of needed to really make its mark. So good for them. I'm sure you've been playing it this week, but I know you've actually been playing something else, and let's get into what we've been playing. I wanted to hear about this awesome, cool game that I'm going to share the launch trailer for this. That I don't know if it's awesome or cool because I haven't heard you talk about it, but let me share this video, the launch trailer, and you can tell me about Tunic.
Yeah, so one of the only games I'm gonna start talking about Tunic by talking about a different game.
Okay.
One of the only games back during the the XBLA days, back when there really was summer of XBLA.
Yeah.
One of the only games that I ever fully completed, got all the achievements on, was Fez. And Fez was one of those games that had a really different and interesting approach on a genre, in that case platforming, that a lot of things just didn't do. It was interesting in its sound development, interesting in its game development, and Tunic does all of that and a little bit more not that Zelda games is its own genre.
Sure.
But as much as it does all of that for, the isometric Zelda game.
Yes.
Action adventure RPG in its own way. It is, I don't know, I want to be playing it right now.
Yeah.
Is the easiest way that I can put it. It's so cool. Sound like all of the development aspects that go into Tunic, I feel, are perfectly done. So, paint the picture real quick. It is a Zelda-like. You can tell that from this trailer that we're watching. As I mentioned, it's isometric. You can see he's got a sword. He's got a shield.
He's
playing a dude. Yeah, he's wearing a tunic. So you can tell that, he's got little dudes that he's going to fight using his sword. That part is clear. The part that kind of elevates it is, as you play along, there are pieces, and that just actually go back to that about 5 seconds ago, Dolly. I'm going to tell you when to pause. Right here. So this is the part that becomes the most interesting, is the fact that you unlock pieces of the game manual, and they are located, and this is I'm not sure where this is going to land yet, and I believe, as far as I can tell, further along in the game than most other players, because I have achievements that I believe are story, you cannot progress without this achievement, and I'm at 0.5% of people have done this so far, as Xbox Live is concerned. So you find pages of the game manual as you play along, and they don't show it in this trailer, but in some pages there's also pen marks, not just coincidental. Really? So you can tell it's very obvious as far as the game. I don't know if we don't see any on. Do you see any?
I don't see any pen marks on here.
They actually. Oh my. Okay, so here's the craziest part. There are pen marks if you play the game and you look at this page. There are pen marks on this page, but they eliminated it for the trailer, which I find especially interesting. So there is a fourth wall. I mean, I don't feel that bad telling you about this because this happened. Yeah. You realize this in the first 30 minutes of the game. This happens almost immediately. that you see this. You're picking up pages. It's clearly about the game manual from the game you're playing, but things don't quite line up with what's in the manual versus what you're experiencing. But on
Hmm.
top of that, you've got, someone's clearly written in the margins. They've made notes. And, I'm 10 hours in and I'm still picking up brand new pages that are filling in the blanks on stuff.
And you got the mysterious
Yeah,
things
so
happen.
some words will fill in, some words won't. You'll see there you've got West Garden and Dark Tomb filled in there.
And that may later
Maybe
on that may say stay away from the dark tomb, or yeah,
it
yeah.
it might, but
We can't
yeah,
go
I
there.
mean this is really cool. Whether you see it's page 28, you can freely swap pages as you
Hmm.
go along. But let's say you're in this specific portion of the map and you scroll to page 28 of your manual, you'll see where your character is on this part of the map.
Oh, that's cool. All right, so yeah, there he is.
And
Right
then
there.
if you go to, and you can see that's his little icon there. And if you go to a different zone and then you flip to the page on the manual where that zone is referenced, you'll see his icon there instead.
That's neat.
But you can still freely go
Nice
to all
little
the other
touch.
pages. I know
That's
it's just one of those things that just like isn't really done elsewhere. I don't know. I can't think of another game that's like an analog to it
uh-huh.
in the way that it has done all of the things that it has.
It the thing that I've been, cause I'm maybe about 40 minutes into it, right? And I've only got like 5 pages. The first few pages come kind of really easy. Um,
Right.
but what I'm enjoying about this game, and again hate to go make this an Elden Ring cast again. It's that it doesn't give you don't have a bajillion tutorials. You
No.
start off, it's like the A button will blink to let you know that you can interact with something. But it doesn't you don't get a big thing that pops up that says hit the A button to interact. Hit the X button if you'd like to place an item on a different button. You have to do it. It doesn't give you a big tutorial. Everything is contextual and everything is in the manual within the game, so you don't need, like, I didn't necessarily go to the manual when it talked about, I'm gonna play this again, when it talked about the controls, which is kind of early on, like one of the first couple pages you get, it kind of shows you the controls. I just kind of figured out the controls on my own because of how the game is designed. And the reason I
Yeah.
bring up Elden Ring is the opposite. And I mentioned it before. It's like you were kind enough to say, "Hey, Dolly, I'll sit with you and I'll hop on a stream and I'll show you Elden Ring stuff." To me, thank you first of all because I'm old, but to me that's sort of like a weird design fail. If somebody else has to teach you
Yeah, I
how to
mean,
play,
like we can be generous and say that that's a
yeah,
design and say that this is a design element to say that like yeah we want you to be social with it.
right.
But at the end of the day, that's being
Yeah,
generous.
it's being generous. But this,
Here it's still hidden, right?
yeah,
It's not overt. You don't walk in, you don't get your first weapon and say wow, great. You got your first weapon. Don't forget to assign it to a slot and then press that button to use it. No, what happens is that you either a minute ago picked up a page of the manual that tells you how to do it, or in 1 minute, you're going to pick up a page that's going to tell you how to do it because you just
mhm.
picked it up. And
The first weapon
I
is a
mean, like,
stick. Stick. Sorry to be a
it
spoiler.
is a
You
stick.
literally walk
Um,
forward and you get the stick. Yeah.
and I guess theoretically it is possible to miss pages.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like if it's an explorative game, right? So the idea of the game is to explore the area, find stuff, and pick it up.
Yeah.
And if you're the kind of player that's like, oh well, I didn't look and I didn't find it, this probably is not the kind of game for you because that's going to be the rest of the time that you spend on it. But if you are going to be out there to look for stuff that's going to be in the world, and then you're going to press the back button to go read the pull up that manual that we're talking about. The manual pauses the game, by the way, since we were going back and forth on that in the Discord a little bit.
Yeah.
Pressing back at any time pulls up the manual, pauses the game. You can read as much or as little as you want to your heart's content. It tells you exactly. Yeah, I don't know. It's brilliantly done.
It tells you a few things, because as the text becomes more readable later, as you're learning things, you go back to those same pages in the manual and discover new things.
Dude, let me tell you. So, like, everything's a little bit out of order. You start by unlocking like page 6, and then you'll get page 20, and as you go along, all of a sudden, like, I finally just filled in page like 29, and it feels like a real game manual. So
yeah,
page 47 references page 29, and like multiple different sections reference this one page, and then finally you get it and you're like, oh shit, I have so much stuff that I have to go back and look at and figure out now. There's if you remember old Legend of Zelda games where there was the memo section, and there is a memo section of this manual, and there may or may not be somebody who wrote in stuff on a ballpoint pen into the memo section of this manual.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's I don't know. It's
the classic old rental days. Yep,
dude, it's a great game.
It's still good,
and
so good.
And I can't wait to go back to it. So
I completely agree.
Tunic is one of those special ones. I played the demo back when it was on the
nice.
I think Steam hosted the Steam Summer, or this, one of the Steam Indie Days. And I played Tunic during that, and the demo did not do it justice because it didn't have any of the manual bits as part of the demo. It was just
held it off. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised, because I feel like you could have done a lot with a demo of just be like, here's a couple pages of the manual to make it really mysterious. But hey, you know what? I'm not going to discredit them, because the final product is making up for the rest of it. I can't recommend that game enough. So, especially if you're like me and you liked a game like Fez a lot, which has a lot of kind of pseudo hidden mysteries to it, plus a great soundtrack. Not the same composer to it, but they're both great. Yeah, I don't know. Tunic's great. I love it.
Sweet. Well, I had, I've been playing Tunic, I've been playing Elden Ring, a few other things, but I did have a chance to preview a game last week that I'm going to play the trailer
preview.
Preview. It is that season right now. It's kind of interesting time. We have GDC is happening, I think, this week or next week.
This coming week, I believe.
This coming week, GDC. A lot of folks are heading out there. Then you got PAX East next month. DICE just happened. Apparently, a lot of folks got COVID sick at DICE. So that kind of sucks. But so people are getting these games kind of put together, ready for the end of the first half of the year and then the beginning of next year. And got a chance to preview a game. Let me preface this by saying F-Zero X just launched on the Switch Online. That was the N64, I believe, F-Zero game. Really fast. The one thing that Nintendo understands, at least about their racing games, is that their goal is to hit 60 frames per second with their racers. Mario Kart, F-Zero, whatever other ones they have. When it comes to games about speed, they will aim for 60 frames per second and they'll work their way back. And that's why they tend to look really good and function really well. Depth wise, there's not always a whole lot of depth in some of those games, but speed is important. And so there hasn't been a brand new F-Zero game. I think Nintendo forgot more. There have been more F-Zero games as Smash Brothers games than there have F-Zero games in the last 20 years, which is a really sad thing to think about. But I think the so I've been missing F-Zero, and there have been a few games here and there. There was like a weird Wipeout game that came out like 4 years ago or something, 4 or 5 years. I forget what it was. And then another game that came out was a game called Redout, and Redout by
Yeah.
34 Big Things is, I believe, the name of the studio. Well, guess what? They're back with Redout 2 is on the way. So they had me give the
Oh.
game a whirl on Steam. So the first Redout game was really kind of interesting. There's a career mode, there's our kind of arcade modes, there were a bunch of online stuff. But it felt a little, I don't want to say a little confined, but the tracks were a little on the narrower side. I remember having a few, I liked the game enough. It kind of checked all the boxes, but didn't like overly wow me. But this game is they. What I liked about Redout and these kinds of games isn't just the racing aspect; it's looking at all the cool stuff in the
Yeah.
world, right? I love the visuals because I want to see things moving really fast. At the same time, everything around it has to have like this really cool style and meaning. Redout 2, they really went all in on the visuals and so the Redout kind of takes place in this futuristic world. Obviously, you can see it's like Earth down in several, I don't know how many millennia down the line, whatever the year is. Um, but they really kind of focused on tying this all together, right? So there's a whole big world. It's got the F-Zero feel for that because you're like racing within a world, not just a collection of tracks like Mario Kart or something. And everything is sort of tied together, especially when you go into the career mode. In Redout 2, you can see that the track design to me was vastly improved. Is the previous Redout lot of straightaways, and it really kind of felt like more of the tricks that you were trying to pull off. And as sort of the hard focus in Redout 2, you have a little bit more space on the track, a little bit wider, which means it's more about racing than just blowing up the people in front of you. It's more about making sure you're getting around curves, like when you're doing certain drifts, when you're doing I forget what they call it, but there was a method where you can kind of do almost like a really tight little super drift and then sort of a bigger drift. You can do pitching when you're leaping off parts like off ramps and stuff. You can actually pitch and roll do barrel rolls of these ships and stuff. And they call them ships because they really are. They're more than just cars. They're ships, but they're designed in a way where they're and this, you can see some of the narrower course, and it kind of opens up in other areas. You replay this again. The failing, I don't say the failings, the sort of the roadblock of Redout 1 was that it was checking the box. Redout 2 is they learn a lot from that, and they're really saying, how can we make this, instead of just speed, let's add some more life to the tracks, add some more life to the actual races, which I think is important. And I think to me, that is what sort of stood out more when I was playing this. So there's tons of new terrain. I'm gonna go over my notes now. Tons of new terrain, and that actually affects the driving this time around. Instead of like the first Redout, you didn't really feel like you were connected to the world. Like Redout 2, different terrain really does affect the way you drive, even if it's snowy or if it's dirty or dusty or if it's like a straightaway, that you can really sort of feel how that adds up. You can race on the edge of a black hole, and that actually does affect like the race itself.
Yeah, you feel like the gravitational pull.
You feel the gravitation pulling. I think that kind of stuff is really cool. The big part about this though is and what they were definitely, the developers in my play session were telling me, was the AI aspect of this. They have an AI assistant that you can kind of set the parameters of, do you want the AI assistant just to be someone who helps you drift, or just to be someone to make sure that you're kind of, maintaining the correct kind of speed, kind of tune this AI assistant? Or do you want this? You can make it completely gone, turn it off if you don't want it, which is, brings the full challenge back. Or do you want the AI assistant to be, like when I'm playing Mario Kart, the bumper bowling version of Mario Kart, where you don't fall off the edge and you just kind of keep going forward. All you're doing is tilting left and right, which is what my nephews do. There are multiple levels of the AI assist, in other words, and like Mario Kart 8, this game now becomes much more accessible to players who are just getting into this kind of experience, which I think is really cool because, again, the original Redout, you had to be really good and really aggressive to play the game. Redout 2, if I'm not great at the driving aspect, but I'm really good at the sort of shooting and battling portion, I can set my AI assist to help me focus on that aspect, or vice versa. And I think that stuff is really kind of a cool way to make this kind of game more approachable, help tune it to what I want it to be when I'm racing. Yeah, and I thought
And
that was just kind of a neat
I
aspect. Yes,
think
sir.
I think it's also valuable because we are just far enough removed from. I mean, when was the last Wipeout game? PS Vita.
Oh man, like I said, there was like a weird version that came out. I think it was a PS Vita or a PS4 game. Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, which might have been one and the same. But either way, we're at the point where you probably need to kind of provide a pseudo soft
yeah,
reset
yeah.
of to reintroduce certain generations of players. Mario Kart has been the de facto for kart racers, but like, and even Wipeout itself wasn't exactly the hugest of series. So, you probably need to do something a little bit better to appeal to more people.
Sure. Yeah,
Quite honestly.
completely agree. Completely agree. And that's how you grow communities around games right now. And in some of the, I mean, we talked about Elden Ring earlier, right? Where it was Elden Ring is, you can play it like a Souls game, which is just I want to hurt myself when I'm to
Yeah.
battle these bosses, or you can play it like how I'm playing it, which is it's a big sandbox and I'm running around the world and just doing stuff and forgetting that there's an actual story. And Redout, I mean, it's a racing game. Obviously, it's not to that same level, but their purpose was, we want people to experience the speed of racing in the future with these really cool cars. Which, by the way, you're more investing in the teams, the racing teams, than you are the actual cars, right? So it's like I'm in the Mantis team instead of the instead of the Mantis car, and that's kind of a cool aspect because it's got this F1 feel to it. But they want people to experience the speed and experience this style of game without being kind of put off. If you don't know how to like manage your Twitch controls in these kinds of games, because if you're really into it, you can really understand that it takes some, hairline level movements to make some jumps and some passes perfect. But I think, yeah, their purpose with Redout 2 was to try to make it more inclusive, so that if I'm not good, if my eyesight isn't as great and in catching speed, if I have motion sickness, I can still play this game from a control standpoint, I should say, and
Yeah.
not feel like I'm gonna fall behind. And another cool thing was they really went into, and I found this as a car designer, this was awesome to me. They really went into the details of each vehicle, and they were it was so cool when they're telling me this. They recorded a bunch of like Porsche and Ferrari and Maserati like engine sounds. Like they recorded the engine sounds and working to get is your spouse is dying over there. Uh, they were working to get these really cool, like really throaty sounding engines, but then like added some cool tech effects to them, so that the cars that I'm racing are sort of in a weird way based on real life vehicles today, at least from an engine and sound standpoint. And that's a weird level of immersion that I found in this playtest that was awesome. So
Hmm.
but I'm gonna say this. I played on my laptop here, so they gave me played with the devs for a little bit, and then I had like another hour to play. They kind of gave us a 2 hour access to the game, which is a really cool way to do. I like this style thing, and it was through Steam. So I played with the devs for an hour at lunchtime. Then I had another hour as I was kind of working through the end of lunch, and I thought, I wonder if this will work on the Steam Deck. And so as I'm talking to the devs and playing, I download the demo to the Steam Deck. And I tell the devs, I'm like, hey, hold on 1 second. I'm going to do something real quick. and I stopped playing on my PC and I started logged back in on the Steam Deck and I played the game on the Steam Deck, and they hadn't played it yet on Steam Deck, which is pretty cool. But
That's very
obviously,
funny.
Steam Deck just came out, but it functioned really well on the Steam Deck. Thankfully, even as a beta, right now, obviously there are issues. There are going to be like there's obviously things that they're still working through. The game's a few months away from release, but seeing speed on it's different to see speed on like a big screen TV, on a laptop screen, and then on a Steam Deck, or obviously the Switch. It's going to be on Switch as well. But it works really well. Like I think it's really cool when you can convey sense of speed on a smaller screen and not want to hurl, because if you do it wrong, it can end up it can end up being too fast and really hard to follow with all the details. But Redout 2 works really well on the Steam Deck. Just that short, 40 minutes of it that I was playing on there. So I was pretty surprised. Yeah.
And not that I want to swap over to Steam Deck talk.
Yeah.
But it's fucking absolutely insane to me that a dev who's, because if they were, I mean, maybe they just assumed that you didn't have a Steam Deck.
Yeah, they didn't know I had. Yeah.
But you would think that they would talk about it, right? Or at least mention that, like, yeah, this is, because it's an advantage to the game, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that it works on it. So it either just works because of Proton, or they worked on it and weren't confident about it. I'm willing to bet that it's more likely to be option one, where it just works as a Proton.
That's cool.
Which is just fucking insane to me, that they're just like, you've got indie I mean, not that these guys are that indie, but you've got pseudo indie devs that are out there going to make a game, and it's just going to fucking work on something like Steam Deck.
And it worked great. Yeah.
Before they even test it, just because of the Proton groundwork that's gone into stuff. That's just crazy. Anyway.
I mean, they're building off of the original Redout, which I believe it does. That's they're using the same engine, I believe, and that functions on the Steam Deck. So if you build up a base, then it's going to work. But I don't know if they had planned for it, on Steam Deck yet. But it worked fine. It showed up on the icons, and it it gives you the notification, says it hasn't been tested on Steam Deck. We don't know how it's going to work. Go ahead, good luck. And it worked fine. So yeah, anyways, Redout 2, I think it's coming this spring or something, whatever the trailer said, to like everything from PC, Steam, to Switch, to PlayStation, and Xbox. And I'll have a little bit more of a write-up on the site. But yeah, I dig it. I know JJ had played a lot of the first one. I played enough of the first one to kind of say, okay, I have had my fill. Definitely more interested in this because of just the grander scale of the tracks in the world. So, but yeah, that's that. Hey, it's 10 o'clock. We've been rocking for an hour. I think we're done. I think we're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to mention. I mean, we're. I don't know how much else I have to tell you about how I still play Elden Ring.
That's all good.
I don't think you really need to hear me say it again.
There are a couple folks that are listening and watching right now. So if anybody has any questions before we sign off, please let us know. I think maybe we'll make that more of a regular feature. We can have folks ask questions, and then maybe at the end of the episode we can kind of answer. It'd be kind of a fun thing to do. As we said again, we're gonna be at PAX East in a month here. In 1 month, 3 days, 1 month from Sunday, we're gonna be at PAX East. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have two panels on that Friday. Definitely check it out. I don't know. Hopefully we can stream it. I'll see if we can do it. We're not in the streaming rooms, but I'm sure we can get we can get a laptop or a camera or a phone or something and stream it. But I think it could be a lot of fun. Either way, we'll record it, audio or video. I'll set up a camera and we can go from there. But yeah, with that, find us sidequesting.com, sidequesting TV on Twitch and YouTube. I think we actually are sidequesting on YouTube, but I have to find it. And you can find me at right there, Dolly Demosky, Taylor
Taylor Bliss right there.
At Taylor Bliss, baby, right there. And that's it. We'll see you all in the next episode of The Side Quest.